rich, strong choir gala. 5 powerful districts are joining forces to showcase the absolute best in the fine arts. So if you're excited to see the performances, then let me hear you as I introduce the districts. Superintendent Dr. Mabel Alfred and School District 159. Make some noise! Superintendent Dr. Blondine Davis and School District 162. Show your power! Superintendent Dr. Kalitha White and School District 163. Let me hear you!
Party with you. Come on now. Let's all celebrate and have a good time. We gon' celebrate and have a good time.
And School District 227. Make some noise!
Right here. So bring your good time. We gon' celebrate your party with you. Come on now. Let's all celebrate and have a good time. Yeah. We gon' celebrate and have a good time together. Together, we gon' celebrate and have a good time. Everyone around the world, come on, celebrate good times, come on.
And CEO Dr. Blondine Davis and Southland College Prep. Raise the roof!
Let's celebrate. It's a celebration. Let's celebrate. We're gonna have a good time.
Wow, good evening. One thing that really strikes me this evening is how many people have showed up for our children. And that is always an incredible thing for all of us. One of the things that I honestly think about all the time is how are our children doing? And in the Maasai tribe in Africa, that's how they greet each other. Instead of saying hello, they ask, how are the children? Today, we want to give you an example of how our children are doing. You're going to see an incredible display of talent for the next hour and 40 minutes or so. I ask you to enjoy them, to have fun, and do the best you can to lose your voice this evening. Because it's about them. It is about their triumphs in terms of being able to put on a show that will make all of you happy. None of this is possible without having a great group of colleagues. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Johnny Thomas. I'm Superintendent of Rich Township High School District 227. In helping to put together an event like this, it takes a group of leaders who really believe in none of this can be done in isolation. I'd like to personally thank Dr. Mabel Alfred, Superintendent of District 159, Dr. Blondine Davis, Superintendent and CEO of 162 in Southland, Dr. Kalitha White, Superintendent, District 163. One of the things that's been truly inspiring, and one of the things that I want you all to know, is there are conversations happening amongst the leaders. We are coming together to improve all outcomes for our children. And it is something that we're working really hard to do. Now I'm being tugged and told I need to turn over the mic and get out of the way so that the show can begin. Once again, at the end of this show, I will pose the question, how are our children doing? With that being said, I'd like to bring to the podium my friend and Superintendent of District 163, Dr. Kalitha White, to introduce her choir.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. Good evening. I've lost my voice already. I know that Dr. Thomas said, lose your voice this evening. Mine has escaped me. I am Dr. Kalitha White, the proud superintendent of Park Forest, Chicago Heights School District 163. It is an honor and privilege to be here this evening to showcase the talents and gifts of the students in District 163. Throughout our years in education, we have maintained a strong commitment to the arts. We offer our students band, show choir, vocal arts, instrumental music, dance, and in addition, we expose them to careers that set the stage, set design, backstaging, graphic design, media arts. We offer a full program. Our children are doing well. They are excelling in the arts. We believe that it is important for them to have opportunities to showcase their gifts and talents. This evening, be prepared to be charmed by our students in 2nd through 8th grade that will display a showcase of their gifts. Our students this evening will shine like bright stars that they are. On behalf of Board President Tammy Davis, Board of Education of Park Forest Chicago Heights School District 163, under the direction of Dr. Cheryl Minch, our choreographers Carrie Jensen and Jada Cunningham, our technology team Stephen Lopez and Jonas Treadwell, our music teacher Miss Christine Putlack, and our directors, Ms. Cabell Brinker and Ms. Deneen Webb, I proudly present Michelle Obama Combined Choirs Excellence in the Arts.
Nkosisi keleli Afrika, malupakanisu upandwayo, niza imitandazo Yesu, enkosi sikelela tina lusafo wayo. Bossa, bossa de Africa. Bossa, bossa de Africa.
I hear the drums echoing tonight, but she only hears whispers of some quiet conversation.
Bossa, bossa de Africa.
She's coming in 12:30 flight. Oh, hurry, boy, is
Bossa,
waiting
bossa de Africa. It's gonna take a lot to drag me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do. I bless the rains down in Africa. Gonna take some time to do the things we never had. Oh, bossa, bossa de Africa. Bossa, bossa de Africa. I won't let
and everyone else that was or ever will be. I came into this world with God, and when I finally looked inside, I found it just as close as my down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may tread me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise.
From sea to shining sea, America, America, America.
Good evening. Good evening. Yeah, that's more like it. I am Dr. Mabel Alfred. I am the superintendent for the illustrious Elementary School District 159. Yes. I stand here on behalf of my wonderful school board under the leadership of Dr. William McClinton, board president, Mrs. Carolyn Palmer, board vice president, Mrs. Bernice Brown, board secretary, board members Regina Edgecombe, Cherie Morton, Carolyn Owens, and Deborah Ellis. I am so excited tonight. I am so excited tonight to stand here shoulder to shoulder in the midst of giants. Yes, giants we call school districts of the Southland. School District 162, 163, Southland, as well as Rich 227. I'm so excited. I come here tonight just excited to say that yes, we are small in numbers in our choir, but our children come here with big hearts and big souls. They have hearts of temperance. They have heart for passion. More so, they have a heart for music and song. So ladies and gentlemen, sit back. I'd like to introduce Colin Powell Middle School Choir under the leadership of Sylvia Haskin and guest leadership of Tony Bell, principal, Mr. Vincent Payne, assistant principal, Miss Angela McDuffie, and Dr. Tony Mays. Ladies and gentlemen, the incredible, the magnificent choir of Elementary School District 159, Colin Powell Middle School. Give them a round of applause.
Flat on your back like Ollie. Got my Wake up, everybody, no more sleeping in bed. No more backwards thinking, time for thinking ahead. The world has changed so very much from what it used to be. There is so much changing, war and poverty. Whoa. Wake up, all the teachers, time to teach a new way. Maybe they will listen to what you have to say. 'Cause they're the ones who's coming up. The world is in their hands. When you teach your children, teach them the very best you can. The world won't get no better if we just let it be. The world won't get no better. We are changing the world, just you and me. Wake up, all the doctors, make the old people well. 'Cause they're the ones who suffer and then catch on the hell. They don't have so very long before the judgment day. Won't you make them happy before they pass away? Wake up, all the builders, time to build a new land. I know we can do it if we all lend a hand. The only thing we have to do is put it in our minds. Surely things will work out. They do it every time. The world won't get no better if we just let it be. The world won't get no better. We are changing the world, just you and me.
Change the world,
Change the world,
you and me.
just you and me.
I can't do it alone.
Can't do it alone.
Need a little help, y'all.
Need a little help, y'all.
Change the world.
Change the world.
Need a little help, y'all.
Need a little help, y'all.
Change the world.
Change the
We
world.
can't do it alone.
Can't do it alone.
Wake up,
Wake up,
everybody.
everybody.
Wake up,
Wake up,
everybody.
everybody.
Just you and me.
Just you and me.
Need a little help, y'all.
Need a little help, y'all.
Need a little help, y'all.
Need a little help,
We
y'all.
can't do it alone.
Can't do it alone.
Wake up,
Wake up,
everybody.
everybody.
Wake up,
Wake up,
everybody.
everybody.
Just you and me.
Just you and me.
Can't do it alone.
Can't do it alone.
Just you and me.
Just you and me.
Do it alone.
Can't do it alone.
Wake up,
Wake up,
everybody.
everybody.
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 Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the incomparable Juan Coleman.
People all over the world, join hands.
Join hands.
Start a love train, love train. People all over
All
the world,
aboard now.
join hands.
It's all right.
Start a love
It's all right.
love train.
The next stop that we make will be England. Tell all the folks in Russia and China too. Don't you know that it's time to get on board and let this train keep on riding, riding on through. Oh! 'cause if you miss it, I feel sorry, sorry for you. Sisters and brothers, come home. Join this train, come home. Join, ride this train, y'all. All right. Get on board. Ride this train, come home. Ride this train, y'all. Come home. Join. Ride this train, y'all. Come home. We're talking love. We're talking love. We're talking love train. Ride this train, y'all. Come home. Join. Ride this train, y'all. Come home. We said a ride. We said a ride. Love this train now. Come on. We said a love train. We said a love train. Ride this train, y'all. It's all right. Yeah. Join this train, y'all. It's all right. We're talking love train. We're talking love train. All right.
How are the children? Huh? I wanted to take a few minutes before I introduce our choir to talk about some of the changes that are happening at Rich Township High School District 227. As you can see, we have changed our logo, and this is the very first time that it's been displayed publicly for everybody to see. What do you think about it? In this logo, we continue to respect the fact that you see the Olympians as the torch. You have the rockets flying around with the stars making the R. for Rich Township coming together. The mission of the district is to focus on our students and to focus on their success. It is a shift away from really admiring some of the issues that we've had as adults and really getting the emphasis on talking about our children. And it's something that has been a pretty difficult thing because a lot of people really care about their children. And so it's important for us to understand what's happening in these changes. So Rich Township will be one high school, Rich Township High School, with 2 individual campuses. One campus focused on the STEM, the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and one campus focused on the fine arts, communication, business programming, and international baccalaureate programming. Our students, as they continue to progress through our system, will have an opportunity to experience both campuses. There will be shuttles that run between the 2 campuses, allowing for our students to show us that they are maturing, they are growing, and they are getting ready for the workforce. We have a lot of things that are happening. I encourage you, especially if you are a family of an 8th grader, to really reach out to your high schools. Next year, all of our students will be equipped with a one-to-one device that they take home with them. Yes, we're going to trust our children. Earlier this year, if you haven't taken us up on it, we have worked to ensure that no family does not have access to the internet. And so we gave out cell phones paid for in a partnership with Sprint for every family who took us up on it, connecting our entire community. If you have questions, please do not hesitate to contact me personally at Rich Township High School District, J. Thomas at Rich Township High School District 227.org. I am happy to come and talk to you about a lot of the changes that are coming. But none of this work is possible without a board working on the behalf of children. So I want to make sure that I recognize our Board of Education. Board President Andrea Bonds. Board Vice President Janice Preston. Board Secretary Cheryl Coleman. Board Member Randy Alexander. Board Member Mia Carter. Board Member Dr. Dolores Woods. And Board Member Sharon Newman. One of the things that we began over the course of last year, and it continues throughout all of our organization, is the combining of our activities and athletics. Today, you're going to hear our combined choir for the 2nd year in a row. This year, our band was combined this year, and they will be performing in New Orleans on Friday in Mardi Gras because of their performances. Yes, it is a new day in Rich Township High School District 227, and none of it is possible without all of the support that you've given us throughout these last couple of years. So I thank you all for that. Now, without further ado, the combined choir for Rich Township High School District 227, with Director Demario Triplett, leading them, the Rich Township High School District Choir.
Shaka Khan. Shaka Khan, that's all I wanna do. Shaka Khan, let me know that Shaka Khan. Shaka Khan, that's all I wanna do. Shaka Khan, let me tell you what I wanna do. Do you feel for me the way I feel for you? Shaka Khan, let me tell you what I wanna do. I wanna love you, wanna hug you, wanna squeeze you too. Let me take you in my arms, let me feel you in my charms, Shaka. Cause you know that I'm the one to keep you warm, Shaka. I make it more than just a physical dream. Shaka Khan, baby, I love you and you make me wanna scream.
Something about the things you do that keeps me safe.
Scott Donovan.
Girl, you know I love you. No matter what you do. And I hope you understand me. Every word I say is true because I love you. I love you, baby. And I need. And I said I love you, I do. Oh, and I need. Said I really need you. Oh, I love you, baby. With all my heart and soul. I'm glad I found you, and I just love to be around you. You've been so good to me. Oh, 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 oh. I love you. Love you. Love you. And I love you. I love. Said I love. Said I
Come on, y'all can do better than that. All right, are y'all ready to have a good time with District 227? I said, are y'all really ready to have a good time with District 227? Well, come on and stand up on your feet and sing this next song with us.
Whoa, whoa. it's party time. Come on, it's party time. Hey, come on, it's party time. 5, 6, 7, 8.
I just wanna have a good time. Turn around if this line. Throw yourself to the right now. Buddy up, drop, drop. Cross your legs, turn around and clap. Jump to the left hand line now. Drop it down, low, 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 low to the floor. Bring it up, clap and roll. Oh, 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 oh. Before I let go, before I let go. Oh, 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 oh. Before I let go, before I let go. Oh, 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 oh. Before I let go, before I let go. Oh, 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 oh. Before I let go, before I let go.
Good evening, everyone. the proud superintendent and CEO of 162 and Southland College Prep. But you know what? Because, Mr. Nelson, I'm actually the senior superintendent of the group. Yeah, I am. Dr. Thomas tells me that all the time. So I have to do something. Last year, you'll remember there was a young man who sang Prince at Rich. I remember him. I've got to see him and hear just a little bit more of him. Donovan, are you back there? Well, share a little bit with me.
I never meant to cause you any sorrow. Said I never meant to cause you any pain. All I wanted one time to see you laughing. Said I only want to see you laughing in the purple rain, purple rain, purple rain. Oh, purple rain, purple rain. Oh, purple rain, purple rain. Oh, said I only want to see you laughing in the purple rain. Honey, I know times are changing. Da 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 da. Say you want a leader, but you can't make up your mind. Come on, let me guide you to the purple rain, purple rain, purple rain. Oh, purple rain, purple rain, purple rain, purple rain. Oh, I said I only want to see you laughing in the purple rain. Oh, purple rain. Come on, let me hear you say, oh, oh, purple rain. Oh, purple rain, purple rain. How about that?
Thank you so much for allowing me to do that. And, you know, we're all rich. We're all rich, strong, and that's what tonight is all about. So we had to listen to him. We just had to listen to him. But it falls to me that the task of introducing a choir, voices that speak to my heart, that speak to my soul, and that defined who I am. Southland is the newest school, the youngest school. I guess you would call it a baby school. I don't know what you would call it. But we're 10 years old. And in 2010, we opened our doors. And my concept was probably not what the students had in mind. Certainly, they understood that we would be a college prep school, and I remember that first class, maybe some of you were there, and they turned to their parents and they said, 9 hours, I'm not going to do that. But many of you turned to them and said, sit down, sweetheart, yes you are. So that's how we started in 2010. But you know, as one road leads on to another, sometimes things happen that you don't foresee. Yes, I knew absolutely if we put the right structure in place that we were capable of sending children in the Southland any place that they want to go, fulfilling any dream that you have. I know that, I live that, I know that. But as we began to move on, we saw the strength of the rich township. And so our strength, we stand on the backs of 159 and 163 and 160 and all of the feeder districts. And you're going to see tonight a manifestation of what I'm talking about. When our choir comes to you this evening, and they're under the magnificent tutelage of Dr. Sterling Cope, you must know him, and Elizabeth Norman. But you know, I always try to find something that is unknown to me and possibly unknown to you to share. I had no idea until I looked in to Dr. Cope's past. Did you know that he is from the U.S. Air Force and he's a veteran? And that he traveled all over the United States sharing his musical talent and just doing what he does best. But Mrs. Norman, you must know I came from Chicago. And Chicago's a little different, but wonderful, Mr. Nelson, wonderful. But Mrs. Nelson, because we didn't have anyone with her majesty, her voice tone, she was assigned to go around to 30, 40 different graduations and provide the musical talent. Isn't that, it's strange, but it worked. So all of those children had an opportunity to hear her. But what I didn't know at the time, I knew she had a beautiful voice. I knew all of that. I didn't know, Mr. Nelson, that she'd also sung with Winston Marsalis. I didn't know that. So before they even come, please give Dr. Cope and Mrs. Norman a round of applause. Each of them generally sings with our choir, and I have no idea, Mr. Nelson, why they decided to give up that privilege tonight. But tonight, our soloist with our choir, Mr. Roderick Dixon. And you know, you probably give him a round of applause, even if you haven't heard him, you will. Mr. Dixon has a tenor voice that is absolutely extraordinary. And I could tell you that he's been at Carnegie Hall, and that would be true, and he's been at Lincoln Center, and he's been at Ravinia. But you know what defines Roderick Dixon? No matter where he is in the world, when Southland calls, he picks up the phone, and if he can, he'll say, I'll be there. One reason only, he just loves children. He loves children. So you will hear him this evening. And Felicia Coleman Evans, you know, sometimes people don't know where they're going to encounter someone. She's not aware, but she's probably somewhere listening, Mr. Nelson, that when she sung for Jimmy Carter's Breakfast, I was listening. That when she performed at Carnegie Hall, I happened to see one of the performances. And her Lord's Prayer, and I'm sure you're familiar with that, the 25th anniversary of the March on Washington, absolutely magnificent. But what she really doesn't know, I don't know if any of you ever met Reverend Clay Evans. He's everybody's minister, no matter what church you went to, and he has passed away. I heard her first perform with him at Fellowship Baptist Church. But as I bring to you the Southland Choir, please know that they're singing to your heart, they're singing with pride, they're singing with dignity, and they're singing with love. I present to you the voices of the Southland.
Mary had a baby. Mary had a baby. Mary had a baby. Mary had a baby. Where was he born? Where was he Mary had a baby. What did they call him? What did they call and they didn't know who he was. Sweet little Jesus boy, born in the manger, sweet little holy child, and we didn't know who he was. A long time ago, you were born in the manger, Lord, and we didn't know who he was. Didn't know you come to save us, Lord, and save our sins away. Our eyes are blind, we did not see. Our ears were closed, we did not hear. And we did not know who you were. Sweet
precious boy, born in the manger. Sweet little holy child. And we didn't know. And I'm glad I know. I'm glad I know, yes, who you
In Alabama, with its vicious races, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification. One day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today.
162, very different from Southland. Guess what? 168 years we've been in existence. What about a round of applause for 168 years? And believe it or not, even those of you who are wondering, Mr. Nelson, I haven't been there for that period of time. So just a little humor, a little superintendent's humor. I can say that because it's about me. But I did want to share with you that the board asked me to research 162 and to find out what we were all about. Once we were a farming community, we were German. All of the minutes of 162 are in German. And something interesting for our mothers and women that are there, women were not allowed to sit on the Board of Education because we didn't have the right to vote. But there was a mothers club that existed in kind of in a tangent kind of relationship with the Board of Education. But our first school was the Huth. And you know what? It's still there. It's still there. So 40 children, 168 years ago. And this will be interesting to Dr. Thomas and to the 227 board. At one time, 162 was a unit district. Because remember, thinking back, high school was considered a privilege in the early years of our country, and only if your parents owned land were you allowed to attend high school. It was assumed that at the end of 8th grade, or whatever they called it at the time, you would have enough knowledge to go into life and to be successful. So 168 years, but I want to fast forward a little bit. For the past 15 years, 162 has just immersed ourselves in music. And if you know anything about us, and many of you do, you know that every one of our schools has bands, everyone has a chorus. We try to give our children as many ways to express themselves as we can. And what we do is to allow each school to define themselves. Now, I don't know if Mrs. Calvin is here. Are you here, Mrs. Calvin? She must be here, but Mrs. Calvin is the principal of the Sauk School. She does a magnificent job. Can we give her a round of applause? There you are. So, Mrs. Calvin, tell us about Mrs. Harrigan.
Mrs. Diana Harrigan has been the choir director at Sauk Elementary School for, I believe, 13 years now, and she has done some absolutely wonderful work. I said recently about Mrs. Harrigan, I don't know another person that works harder, is more passionate and dedicated to this large group of students that we have here. She pours her heart into it. She comes from a musical family, and her husband is he is the band director at the Huth, so music is in her blood, and she's just amazing.
Well, just a little secret. We can give her a round of applause. But each year I decide, and Dr. Thomas, I hope this is not just a 2-year phenomenon. I hope you're planning on bringing us back here next year. I don't know where he is, but Mrs. Harrigan wrote to me and said, could I be allowed to represent District 162 this year? And there was really only one answer. Energy, enthusiasm, talent. But you know what I've always believed, and I've shared this many, many times if you've heard me speak. Nothing replaces the excellence that occurs when there's good teaching. And so at the bottom of this, even though it's music, it really is dependent upon the person that stands in front of the children. So I'm going to allow you to bring them to us, would you please?
Absolutely. I wouldn't rather do anything different. Without further delay, please join me in welcoming to the stage the Sauk Elementary School Show Choir.
In the beginning, the land was pure. Even in the early morning light, you could see the beauty in the forms of nature. Soon men and women of every color and shape would be here too. And they would find it all too easy sometimes not to see the colors and to ignore the beauty in each other. But they would never lose sight of the dream of a better world that they could unite and build together in triumph.
Okay, remember what I told you. Be your own boss, love yourself, get up and dance. Level up. Level up, 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 level up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. Level up, 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 level up.
So I ask again, how are the children? We had, if you look in your programs, we had the program all laid out, and just logically we thought, hey, we have to have the high schools go at the end because they're the older kids. And then we saw them practice. And sometimes you gotta give homage when you see talent like we just saw.
Amen.
And so we asked for SARC to go last this year because that was incredible. Let's give them another round of applause. We have a few, if we can have just a little bit of the lights, we have a few special guests that we want to make sure that we acknowledge. I know Representative Debbie Myers-Martin is in the building somewhere. Let's have her stand and give her a round of applause. Hi, Debbie. Park Forest Mayor John Vanderbilt is here today. Village of Matson trustee Andre Satchel is here today. Village of Matson trustee Juanita Harden is here today. Dr. Joyce Carmine, former Superintendent District 163 is here today. Vivian Covington of University Park is here today. Park Forest trustee Teresa Settles is here. And Park Forest trustee Maya Hardy is here as well. Let's give them a round of applause. A lot of this is made possible through the partnerships with our village and our village leaders. So we're really, really happy to have you all here joining us today. And now I'm going to turn it over to Carlita White to introduce her special guest.
What an amazing show. I am so blessed to be a part of this community. And this could not happen without the vision of the Board of Education. Park Forest Chicago Heights School District 163 Board President, Ms. Tammy Davis, Board Vice President, Ms. Allison McCray, Board Secretary, Ms. Judy Hawthorne, Board Assistant Secretary, Ms. Christina Dupay, who has a student on stage tonight, Board Member Lance Jefferson, Board Member Randall White, and our long-standing board member who has always kept a vision for the arts, Ms. Margaret McDaniel. We have stayed strong in our commitment to arts and education. Many years, some districts were removing arts from the budget as they were trying to ensure that they had all the academic programs covered. The vision of District 163 has never wavered as we think about arts and education. Arts and academics go hand in hand to develop the whole child. Thank you, Board of Education, for Park Forest Chicago Heights School District 163 for the work that you do. Our Board of Education empowers our administrative team, and we appreciate their leadership over the programs in the arts. Thank you, administrative team.
Good evening again. I'd like to again pay homage to my Board of Education, who has been the backbone of this operation, who has supported me 150%. As Dr. Thomas said earlier, that he's going through some changes, and his district will be going through some changes in Elementary School District 159 as well. At Colin Powell, we're going to move through two pathways, and the same pathways as 227, the fine and performing arts as well as STEM education. So we look forward to partnership with Dr. Thomas as our kids transition from elementary school into high school. We're so excited. I did not acknowledge Ms. Shelia Friday, who has been a great support in working with our choir, as well as Mr. Juan Coleman, who are two staff members who have stepped up and have taken charge to ensure that we had success tonight. I thank everyone who played a part in our program tonight. I thank Dr. Thomas for his vision of this. I look forward to starting a new day as we prepare for next year in our choir Rich Strong concert. So thank you so much. God bless you.
So Dr. Thomas, you're committing yourself to next year? Are you thinking about it or what?
Lord willing, God willing.
Oh, God willing.
God willing.
Okay. Well, if God is willing, I'd like to introduce, actually I have two boards. And so the president of the 162 board, Mr. Felix Simpkins, the vice president is Ron Bean. I see the secretary there, Kevin Murphy, member Sandy Gordon, member Karen McCray, Alicia Rodman McCray. So could we give the 162 board a round of applause, please? Southland is a little different. So our board president is Ron Bean, Kevin Murphy, member, Felix Simpkin, member, but 3 of our board members are from universities representing ISU, Dean Barbara Meyer, representing the DePaul University, Dr. Barbara Radner, and representing the University of Illinois, Dr. Vinnie Hall. And then I actually, Dr. Thomas, have a seat on the 162, Southland board. So that's very different. But I know that Dr. Thomas is on the verge of telling you a secret, so I think I'll share part of the secret. He brought Loyola University, the dean, to our administrative meeting a week ago. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to work together with Loyola to offer dual credit classes at the high schools.
So if I understand correctly, our teachers who are qualified will go through a process. They will become adjunct professors for Loyola, allowing for our kids to also enroll in Loyola as high school students. It's totally incredible.
But another dream, Dr. Thomas, you know what we want to do? We want to become this satellite. How's that going to work?
So they also are working to become a satellite site in the Southland, setting up a campus here so that our families don't have to travel all the way to the north side or to Chicago to receive that education.
Guess what, Dr. Thomas? I know we have a lot to say, but we have 485 students waiting, just waiting. So I think we should move out of the way, don't you think?
You don't want to recognize the band? I just.
Oh yeah, no.
You know
Let's
what?
recognize the band.
Because I was at a concert for Stevie Wonder, Keys of Life, and he told me he paid $1 million for a band, and they didn't sound like this. So let's give our band a round of applause.
You introduce them.
So really quickly on keyboard and musical director and the person who said you need to pay attention to what I'm telling you, Mr. Fred Nelson III. On keyboards, Mr. Malty Jewell IV. On guitar, Joseph Woolfolk. On the bass guitar, Sheree Reed. On drums, Quinn Juan Anderson, or Quinn for short. On percussion, Tony Carpenter. Tenor sax, Julie Wood. Alto sax, James Perkins. Trombone, Stephen Berry. And trumpet, my former instrument, Dave Spencer. Let's give them another round of applause.
Dr. Thomas, what about this question as we open the curtains? What about this question I heard earlier?
Once again, I ask,
how are the children?
How are the children? Let's take a look.
Can we get everybody to stand up on your feet? Come on, we know you know this song. And we want you to wave your lights in the air. All right, you ready? Say today's a new day, but there is no sunshine. Where is the clouds? Today's a new day, but tell me where are my blue skies? Nothing but love. Say I almost gave up, and I felt from heaven, y'all. Come on, can y'all make it big and help us say it? Say I smile, even though I hurt. I know God is working. Say I smile, smile. So hard to look up. Sure would hate to see you. You look so much better. Come on, everybody, put a smile on your face. Let me see those pretty teeth. Today's a new day. Yeah. Today's a new day. But tell me, where are my blue skies? Where is the love? Say I almost gave up. And I fell from heaven, y'all. Everybody lift your voice. Say I smile, even though I hurt. I know God is working. Say I smile, smile. It's so hard to look up. Sure would hate to see you give up now. You look so much better. I like this part. Say smile for me. Can you just smile for me? Whatever you're in right now, just smile. Can you just smile for me? Hey, everybody know this. And my people say, whoa, you look so much better. You look so much better. You look so much better. Yes, you do. And while you're waiting, and while you're praying, look in the mirror. Always remember, I almost gave up. And I fell from heaven, y'all, yeah, yeah. Hardships, difficulties, tears, joy, say I smile. Even though I hurt me, I smile. I know God is working on the side. Even though I've been for a while, I smile. It's so hard. Look out. You look so much better. You
Let's give our children your loudest applause. Let's show them the love that they deserve. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for coming together as a community, and thank you for being Rich Strong. Have a great evening and safe travels.